Hundreds of drivers with dozens of teams compete in multiple series with one ultimate goal: to race in the Indianapolis 500. Yet each year, only 33 dreams come true. These are the stories that make up the 33 Dreams of Indy. Welcome back to 33 Dreams of Indy. Today I am joined by Ely Navarro, also known as Ely. Ely is the winner of the 2019 Lucas Oil School of Racing Shootout. Ely, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. I understand you might be a little under the weather from going from the Florida sunshine back up to you're in Indiana, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, we had fantastic weather while you were down here, at least most of the time. Talk about your experience at the Lucas Oil School of Racing Shootout. I know that you were excited about coming to it, but to actually win, what did that feel like?
It felt like no other feeling. Winning my first championship in karting felt really good, but felt like no other. It's just all the hard work that I went through, all those days of just focusing on that one goal and one dream. Everything just paid off, and it was the most satisfying feeling in the world.
So if I understand correctly, the shootout was your second time in a car. You had been in karting before, but this was your second time in a car, correct?
Yes, I did a 2-day basic school in November in Sebring at the club course, and came to the shootout. It was only the second time. Yeah.
Fantastic. So last year, talking about your racing as a 2019 Yamaha Junior Champion, that's a repeat from 2018, if I'm reading correctly.
Mm-hmm.
That was in karting. Second last year at the Battle of the Brickyard in July at IMS. What was it like to actually get to take a car out at IMS?
Oh wow, it was really cool. It was a lot of us on the track at the same time, and it was a good feeling going around, like experiencing what the IndyCar drivers got to see or the other car drivers got to see on that track. It was really cool looking at all the buildings and all the people on the side when we went across the bricks.
You could actually feel that as you went
Mm-hmm.
across on as we were able to do that. Well, the winner, for those of you that aren't familiar, the winner of the shootout, the Lucas Oil School of Racing Shootout, actually gets to participate in the full season of the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series. Now, those of you that listen to Trackside with Kurt Cabin, Kevin Lee, you know that Jackson Lee has participated in that program. So for Ely to win an entire full scholarship, yes, he's still going to need some backing, still going to need some things with travel, those types of things with sponsorship. But to have that ride paid for, that's got to be a huge Christmas gift as well.
Yeah, it was a big one, especially I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's a big Christmas gift for myself. I feel like I deserve that a lot. I went through so much work through the past, all those karting years, and just all that negativity built in me from past. I just try to focus on the positive things, and I pushed through and I won.
So times that you had been in races and maybe like the Brickyard, you come in second or just not quite accomplish what you were looking for. I see that you're very active with Pitfit. Is that correct? So you're
Yes.
there, whether it be on the simulator side, or what's it like working with the team at Pitfit?
Oh, they're amazing. Jim Leo, Alex Wayne, Kinsley Bishop. They're really amazing people. They're the nicest people you'll meet. They back you up so much. They encourage you. They're really awesome people. And Kerry from Indy Simulations, he helps out a lot. I was on the simulator a lot to help me with get familiar with the track at Sebring. But they push you to the max, and it really pays off at the end. It gives you a good feeling inside.
So I also interviewed Elliot Basinski, who was one of the top 5 finishers. We talked about the format, but for those that aren't familiar, the shootout is not just get on the track and go as quick as you can. When you first show up, there's a session on simulator and coaching. There's interviews that you go through. There's a business class that's put on by Pippa Mann. What did you think about that business class, and was that a little bit of an eye-opener to you?
Yeah, it was probably my favorite class I got to go to because I didn't realize how much social media activity you needed in order to like get exposure. Like you don't just need to be a good driver to get exposure. You also need to work on social media and stuff. It was a big eye opener, and it was really helpful for me.
You know, there are those different pillars that you have to have of the car and being with the right team, yourself and your own approach, but that off the track business approach that goes on to it, the fitness, it all ties together, it all fits together into that. And I saw that from and the approach that you took. Now, I don't know if you remember, because we went through in the racing of that, and I was going back and forth between the Indy Lights testing that was going on and the Academy winter testing that was on the other side of Sebring. So I was popping back and forth. Didn't get to see every lap that was being turned. You were racing in the fog. You were racing in the 80-degree temperatures. But you remember talking to me just before, or saying something to me just before your final run in the rain? What you remember what you said?
I remember us talking. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember us talking about social media and the business side.
I know there was the business side, but I'm going to share, because I remember this clear as could be. You had a grin that looked like a Cheshire cat. I might be dating myself a little bit, but you came up, you had big wide eyes. You looked at me and you said, "I love racing in the rain." And your last session was in the rain, and it actually started coming down. The groups were divided into 3 groups of 9 drivers, and your group, it was coming down pretty good at that time.
Yeah, the session before that, so session 4, it started to rain for us as well, and it was my first time in the rain in that type of car where it actually was coming down and you could feel. So I wasn't very familiar on what to do. I wasn't familiar if I should take the go-karting line in the rain where you go around the outside because there's more grip, or you take the normal racing line. And I very soon found out after one of the more experienced drivers passed me that it's just like karting. You just take the karting line. And after that session, I got the feedback from the driver coaches. They told me everything I needed to fix, and I applied that immediately. And I think I was the fastest in the last session for my group.
You had that different mental approach, and you really went into it. But that stuck out to me as you were there. You were grabbing your helmet, and you had the biggest grin, and you were ready to go for it. So that was something else. Since you've gone through the experience, you've got back home. People may or may not be able to see in your background, you've got snow there in comparison to our beautiful weather that we had down here. At least you got to work on your tan for a day or two. How has your approach towards racing changed mentally or schedule-wise? I know your dad's very active in that as well. Has there been a little bit different approach that you've taken?
Not really. There's not much of a different approach that we're going to be taking. We're just trying to work around the Lucas schedule with a little bit of more karting.
Okay.
We're going to try and stay to karting a little bit because, I mean, it's spaced out a lot for the Lucas Oil schedule, so it'll be like one race for a month. So we want to stay active and stay in shape for preparing for those events.
Makes sense. As I was looking at that schedule, yeah, it does give some days sometimes a 30-40 day gap between when the different sessions are, and they're spaced out all around. I always like to give you an opportunity to give a shout out to those that are supporting you, young drivers, their sponsors that they may have. Either someone that sponsored you last year or that's working with you. So go ahead, and the floor is yours for that.
I'd like to thank Pitfit Training for always being there behind my back, pushing me to the limit, and helping me succeed. Indy Simulations for helping me with getting familiar with the tracks. I'd like to thank my parents for being behind me through all these rough times and keeping me in a positive mental state to be prepared for everything to come, be prepared for the unexpected. And Brain Tap, they it's mental. So you put on goggles and you put on headphones, and it gives you positive messages, and it helps you try and stay positive no matter what through anything. There's many different things. So we just got a new pair of goggles and headphones, and it's really cool.
Fantastic. That use of new technology to be able to help you out from this. I want you to, Eli, I want you to dream with me for a little bit, okay? You're there, you're an Indiana boy. What would it be like to start and race in the Indianapolis 500?
Oh man, that's just a dream to start in the Indianapolis 500. Um, it'll feel amazing, starting, going into the first turn with 30 other cars around you, and I mean, going 200 plus miles an hour. I think that would be just an exhilarating feeling. I don't feel like I'd be nervous or anxious because you have a specific job you need to do, and I think I'd be so focused on that specific job there wouldn't be much time to be nervous or anxious.
Yeah, I think you usually see that the emotions overcome them after the event, wherever they finish, to be able to go through that, or after a qualifying lap. But there certainly is something about Indy to be able to do that. And welcome to the road to Indy, because the Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official racing school of the series. I know Reese Gold, one of the past winners, is going to be participating, or has participated in USF 2000, which is on the progression that's there. Not trying to put the cart before the horse, but just give an explanation to individuals as to why we're paying attention to this great event. And shout out to Neil Enerson, RC Enerson, the Anderson family, for the Lucas Oil School of Racing, and then also Cooper Tires. Their support was absolutely fantastic. Those mechanics were something else as well.
Yes.
With the racing school, as to having those cars ready for you, and going through your feedback, and then all of the coaches. Well, Eli, I appreciate you taking some time out of there, and feel better. I know you got a couple days here with the holidays, and then
Yes.
you and your folks will be right back at it. I know I'm doing the same thing of doing the schedules, and we'll be off to Daytona here in just a few days. For me, that's just right across the state, but I'm still debating as to whether or not I'm going to have a challenge to stay awake for the entire 24 hours of the race. That would be something. And at my age, I need my naps. So,
Yeah, right.
Well, pleasure to get to know you. Pleasure to get to know your dad there and your folks. You're doing absolutely fantastic. Not to give you a big head or anything like that, but to win against the group that you were there. I'll share with you, I had a list of 7. I wasn't watching all the racing, nor would I know who was in what car unless a parent told me. I had a list of 7 going into the finals that I thought were the top, and I ended up picking 4 of the top 5, and you were one of those 7 by the way you carried yourself, by the way you interacted with other drivers, with the adults that were there. Keep up that good work.
Thank you.
You got it. You got it. Well, until next time on 33 Dreams of Indy, please subscribe. We're on all the major players. And until next time, keep dreaming. Hope you enjoyed this video from 33 Dreams of Indy. It would mean the world to me if you would click subscribe so that you could be notified of any new videos that come along.